Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you so much for joining me. Mike Lewis here with MikeLewisInc.com, and I just wanted to share just a few brief moments with you and discuss a very important topic. You know, I believe everything rises and falls on leadership. And so what we want to talk about is the true heart, or the heart of true leadership. And so before we get started, though, again, I want to thank you for taking just a few minutes here. Take some time, if you haven't done so already. Follow me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram, on Twitter. Ladies and gentlemen, we are available for you in every step of the way. So just a little bit about me. I'm a husband to this amazing wife. My wife Jaquel and I have been married now for, at the time of this recording, it'll be 5 years, and we are so looking forward to another 105 years. And so this is my lovely wife, Jaquel, and I. And, you know, one of the things that I love about being a husband and in today's society is that it's very uncommon to see husband and wife work together. And it's just one of the joys that I have with this phenomenal woman, being able to work side by side with her. You know, she has her businesses. I have my business. And of course, we work business together, and it's just a real joy and a treat to be able to work side by side from her. Now, in addition to being a husband, I'm also a father. If you see in the upper left-hand corner, my wife and I, when we got married, we have all of our children there, with the exception of the two that we have together. You know, coming in through a household with a blended family, there is never a dull moment. My wife and I, we have 8 children together. Yes, indeed, you heard that right. We have 8 children together. And again, you know, it's up and down, right? Any parents out there can understand that, again, there's never a dull moment, but it's so much joy, so much excitement going on at all given times. All of our children are, you know, leading the pack in their classrooms. And it's just a real joy and a humbling thing to see how blessed we truly are. Now, just a little bit about me. I was born and raised in Flint, Michigan. Some of you guys may be very familiar with Flint, Michigan, because in recent news, Flint has been going through some very, very troubling times, you know, with the water crisis and so forth. And, you know, with that still going on, thank God, my family has not been affected to the extent that a lot of other families have. But let alone that we are still affected by that water crisis. However, being born and raised in Flint, Michigan, you know, you have a certain fortitude and a certain gumption about yourself that allows you to push through. You know, that handsome little fella in the middle there with the afro, he did not know that he was going to be able to accomplish some of the things, the very small successes that he's been able to have up until this point. And I'm so looking forward, and I'm always humbled by the opportunity to be able to pour into people literally around the world. You know, my education after high school, I went to Eastern Michigan University, where I majored in elementary education. Shortly afterwards, I became a teacher, ladies and gentlemen, at the age of 19, later becoming a principal at the age of 25. Now, don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying that to brag or boast. I'm saying that because the principles that I'm getting ready to share with you is how I did it. Okay, there's nothing special, if you will, about me. There were just some principles that someone took the opportunity to impart into me, and I actually believed them and began to apply them. And so I just want to share some of these things with you, and hopefully it can bless you as well. So now, before we get started, however, I do have one request. Okay, I do have one request, because I know that, you know, you get so many people that come through in and out of your life at so many times, and they say, well, you know, what can you teach me about leadership? You know, and again, I'm not here to serve as the all in all on leadership, but there are some things that I have learned. So with that in mind, I do have one request, and that request is I am asking right now if I can serve as your doctor. Okay. Now you may be saying, Mike, what in the world are you talking about? Serve as your doctor. Well, every so often when we were little or when we were younger, we had to go to the doctor, and we had to get immunization shots, right? In order to remain healthy, we had to get our immunizations on a consistent basis. And, there's a lot of people out there that don't like needles. They don't like shots, right? And so I'm going to ask of you to be your doctor. And there's going to be some things in here that's going to feel like a little prick, right? There's going to be some things that hurt like a shot when you're at the doctor, but just stick with me, and I promise you the pain will go away within just a few minutes or a couple days. All right. So I'm asking if you would allow me to be your doctor as we go through this. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. My mentor shared a story with me years ago that absolutely revolutionized my life, and I believe that it catapulted me to being able to understand principle on a whole nother level. Now, here's the story, and someone listening to this, you may have heard this before, but he said that there was a naval captain. Okay, there was a naval captain, and this naval captain was on a ship amidst a storm. And here's one of the things that he said. He said now that when the military is out at sea, the way that they communicate is via light. Now, here's what he said, that out at a distance, there was a light that was sending off a signal. As this naval captain was on board this ship in the midst of a storm, he saw this light and he began to communicate with this light. He began to communicate with this light via his light signal. And here was the message that he sent with him. He said, turn 30 degrees east, or you will collide with me. Well, shortly after that, the light at a distance began to communicate with him and say, you turn 30 degrees west, or you are going to collide with me. And they continued to do this over and over and over again. And it got to the point where the naval captain, with all of his accolades and awards and the different achievements that he's been able to accomplish during his tenure in the military, he began to get upset. And he said to this light out at a distance, he said, turn your ship 10 degrees, or you're going to collide with me and I will crush you. Do you know who I am? Captain so-and-so, naval captain so-and-so. And he said, turn or you're going to collide with me. So a few minutes passed, and this light at a distance simply responded with a simple message. And that message was, I am the lighthouse. Now, when I first heard that story, I'm going to be completely honest with you, probably like some of you that just heard me tell it, you did not quite understand the point in that story. And here's what my mentor shared with me. He said, Mike, that story represents principles. He said the lighthouse represents the principles that you and I choose to follow or choose not to follow. In other words, we choose to disobey. He said, however, regardless of where you stand with principles, there's one thing that is for surety. He said that if you follow the principles, you receive the reward or the benefit of following the principle. However, if you choose to violate the principle, then you will also be faced with the consequences. And he said, just like that naval captain was trying to communicate to the lighthouse that it will crush you, then you have to understand that if you follow or disobey the principles, then that principle will crush you. It will demolish you. And so I'm going to share some things with you that is strictly based on principle and not my opinion. Is this making sense? So again, understand this. If you're taking notes, I want you to write this down. Here is something that I had to understand that allowed me to do some things that no one ever believed was possible. And that is, if you are going to achieve greatness, then you must gain information that exceeds beyond your education. What do I mean by that? I'm all for education. Again, I went to Eastern Michigan University for education. And as an educator, I'm extremely advocate about education. However, I understand that there's so much more information that is made available to us outside of just the four walls in a typical classroom. And so with that being said, then I want you to understand that if you're going to achieve any level of greatness in your life, then you must be willing to gain information that exceeds beyond your general education. Okay, so what we're going to talk about is the heart of true leadership, what it means to expose your gift to the world. Now, let's first and foremost deal with the assumption of leadership. The assumption of leadership. What I call the assumption of leadership is what most people that I've come in contact with begin to understand, or they believe that leadership is you just simply dictate to the masses what it is that you want them to do. And, you know, for a long time, even I believed this assumption. But ladies and gentlemen, let me help you understand something, that is not leadership. Leadership is not you trying to dominate other people. Leadership is not you trying to dictate what other people need to do. They just need to follow you. I'm the leader and so forth. That's not leadership, ladies and gentlemen. However, I want you to understand this. Most of us are going to work every single day, 9 to 5. And this is kind of the picture that we have on an ongoing basis. We have that boss that believes that leadership is dictating to them what it is that they're supposed to be doing. And if they don't do it, then they're fired or the consequences follow. However, ladies and gentlemen, what you have to understand is that when it comes to true leadership, your title is irrelevant. Let me say that again. When it comes to true leadership, your title is irrelevant. No one cares about your title. It's a level playing field when you understand that true leadership has nothing to do with a title. It doesn't mean that you get to rule over people. Is this making sense? So now again, remember, I'm an advocate for education, but a person's degree does not qualify them to dominate you. Let me say that again. A person's degree does not give them the authority to dominate you. And so I want you to really tap into what I'm saying, because so many of us are bogged down by someone, what I call the title pusher, that really believes that just because they have the title, just because they are your boss or your supervisor or whatever it is, that they can dictate to you what it is that you should or should not be doing. Hopefully this is making sense. So now, with that being said, understand this. Leadership is not about how many people follow you. Let me let that sink in. Leadership is not about how many people follow you. However, true leadership is about how many people follow the people that follows you. Okay? True leadership is about how many people follow the people that follows you. Okay? Here is something that you need to understand, and this absolutely changed my mindset when it came to leadership, because it almost sounds like an oxymoron, because this is not what we're taught in the traditional sector, if you will. And that is, you were never created to lead people. Let me say that again. You were never created to lead people. However, you were created to attract leaders through your specific area of gifting. And we're going to tap into that in a little bit. So in order for us to do that, I want you to understand a principle found in Scripture, Genesis chapter 1, verse 11. And it says, "Let the earth bring forth grass, the herb that yields seed, and the fruit tree that yields fruit according to its kind." Now watch this. "Whose seed is in itself on the earth, and it was so." So let's tap onto this. Whose seed is in itself. Understand this, that everything that you desire to accomplish, the potential to be able to do it has already been planted on the inside of you. Therefore, the seed of a full-grown tree has already been planted on the inside of you. It is you and our responsibility to cultivate that seed and germinate that seed so that the fruit can manifest. But this is what most people do, okay? They're They're trying to be everything to everybody. They're trying to look good for everybody, and they have all these different things that they're trying to juggle. So again, one of the oxymorons of leadership is that being busy is effective. Being busy does not always mean that you're effective, okay? Leaders become effective as a result of doing that for which they were born to do. Let me say that again. True leaders become effective as a result of doing that for which you were born to do. See, here's the key, you guys. Everybody wants success. Now, again, success is relative to the individual, but everybody in some form or fashion wants success. The challenge is there's one problem that the majority of people are not comprehending, and that is the key to success in life is not to pursue success, right? There's a quote that says you don't lose any light by lighting another candle. You don't lose any of your light by lighting another candle. But here's the deal. The key to success in life is not to pursue success. You know, in so many messages around the world today, we hear get up and go get it, go after it, and so forth. And I'm all for that. Go after what it is that you want in your life. But the key to success in life is not to pursue success. However, in leadership, you understand that you attract success by becoming a person of value. And when you become more valuable, you inspire others to become who they were created to be. So in other words, understand this, that we're talking about influence. Okay. True leadership is all about influence. And your responsibility as a leader is to make yourself unnecessary. Let me say that again. Your responsibility as a leader is to make yourself unnecessary. Now, what do I mean by that? If we're talking about influence, I want you to picture this little guy on the screen right now, okay? Now, if I were to ask you what is it that he's doing, I can almost guarantee with surety that most of you will answer a good 98, if not 100% of you would agree with me that he's blowing air inside of a balloon. Is this true? Okay, so if he's blowing air inside of the balloon, my question to you now is, what is inside the balloon? What's inside the balloon? Okay, now, I can almost guarantee again that someone is saying, well, air is inside the balloon. And I would agree with you partially. However, I will dig a tad bit deeper and kind of put it in your mind that, yes, there's air inside the balloon, but it's his air that's inside the balloon. It's his air that's inside the balloon. Now, where am I going with this? Air, again, when you are breathing into this balloon, breathe or breath simply means influence, right? Or inspired. So in other words, his air, his inspire is being blown inside of this balloon. So as a leader, you inspire people by simply being who it is that you have been created to be. And when you do that, then you understand that, you know, if you go to the left, it could be the wrong way. If you go to the right, it can also be the wrong way. But if you're going straight forward, then you are living within your lane. And this, ladies and gentlemen, attracts people to you. This is true leadership, by exposing your gift. Okay. Jesus said this. He said, you unbelieving and perverse generation, one of the most profound questions or statements that he made was, how long must I be with you? Think about that question. How long must I be with you? I believe that this statement was not one of irritation, but it was one of acknowledgement and recognizing that as a leader, it is your responsibility to convey or attract or influence those that are that you are leading through your influence or attracting through your influence, to expose who they are to the world so their purpose can be realized as well. How long must I be with you? This question in and of itself speaks that of duplication. So as a leader, we duplicate ourselves within the organization or within the generation or those individuals. Now, it doesn't mean that they can't be authentic and be be themselves. But again, remember, you are inspiring them to do such. Is this making sense? Understand this. Discovering your purpose in life positions you to discover the source of your leadership. Let me say it again. Discovering your purpose in life positions you to discover the source of your leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, what are we talking about? We're talking about purpose. And a lot of people ask me all the time, well, how do you identify that purpose? And so I want to give you a few things to take into consideration in order for you to be able to start the process of understanding what your purpose is. The first question that I have for you, and I want you to write this down and really digest this question, and that is, what makes you angry? Right? What makes you angry? Now, of course, if you're like me, when my mentor asked me this question, I was thinking, shoot, that question in and of itself makes me angry. What kind of question is that? What makes me angry? A lot of things make me angry, but no, he said this. There's something that makes you uniquely angry. So angry to the point that you feel that you have to do something about whatever it is that you see or that you see someone else experiencing, that you feel that you have to fix it. And ladies and gentlemen, what I'm telling you is that whatever that is that makes you angry, that's a indication. It's not the final barometer, but it is a indication that this is what you've been designed to do. It's an indication, it's an inkling of the purpose that you've been sent here to provide or solve. Okay, so what makes you angry? The second question that you have to ask yourself is, what would you do even if you were never paid to do it? In other words, what is your passion? What is your passion? What would you do even if you were never paid to do it? Me, I absolutely love to speak. I love to train. I love to train on leadership and help people achieve their potential in life. And whether I never got paid to do it or not, I would do it. Why? Because that's purpose for me. Purpose fuels me. It allows me to see what it is that I'm supposed to be doing. The next question that you have to ask yourself is, what keeps you awake at night? In other words, what is your vision? What is your vision? You know, the Bible says that where there is no vision, the people perish. And so I want to encourage you to take some time and really meditate on that. What is your vision? Write that down, because it's your vision that's going to continue to fuel you to move forward, even when you don't have the energy per se to go forth and do it. So what keeps you up at night? Your vision is something that will keep you up at night. You know, there's power in daydreaming, and there's a whole nother training that I provide that will go into that. But there's power in daydreaming. So what is your vision? Write this down. Understand this. When it comes to vision, your vision never rests or settles with you. Your vision should never rest or settle with you. Your vision is always about someone else. What is it that you're going to impart into the next generation? Because if your vision is stopping with you, then that's not a vision, ladies and gentlemen. That is that's an ambition, or it's not even a mission. It's something that you just want to accomplish. It's a goal. Is that making sense? Your vision is always about someone else. A wise man once told me years ago that vision stands for vital images of success, increase, order, and new direction, right? Vision is vital images of success, increase, order, and new direction. So what is your vision? The next question that you have to ask yourself is, what do you want your legacy to be? You know, my wife and I, we are absolutely sold out to legacy. We're sold out to legacy. As a matter of fact, our company, Lou Legacy LLC, is all about helping families create that legacy and live that legacy out. Because make no mistake about it, every single one of us one day will have to pass on, right? And so what is it that you're going to leave behind? What are you going to leave to your family? What are you going to leave to the next generation? And I'm not talking about monetary things, but I'm talking about those things that's going to create a level of growth, something that's going to enhance the next generation, something that's going to build them up instead of tearing them down. What is that thing going to be? Ladies and gentlemen, when you understand these key principles and when you can tap into those questions, then you are getting ready to tap into true leadership. And that's what it's all about. Leadership, again, is about passing the baton to the next generation. Leadership never just stops or settles with you. Ladies and gentlemen, you're always looking to pass the baton of leadership to the next generation because, again, understand that your influence is attracting the next leader. So I want you to ask yourself this question. What are you doing right now that's contributing to the next generation? What are you doing, right? So it's not about you. Okay, this was one of the hardest things that I personally had to come to grips with, and that was understanding that it is not about me, but it is truly about the next generation and those that are coming after me. Okay, so with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, understand this. The world is in your hands. You have a responsibility to pour out your gift to the world. You have a responsibility to share with others the solution to a problem that exists right now. Okay, you have that solution placed on the inside of you. Remember, the seed has been placed on or in itself. Okay, it's your responsibility to cultivate that and bring it out. With that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Understand this, that when you are living in your purpose, there's no such thing as competition. Until next time, take care. God bless.